to manual work. I don't do manual shit anymore, guys. It's all agent-based.
Are you doing context engineering, Remy? Because the researchers nowadays, they are worth a lot. They are the new NFL players, the new soccer player. Ronaldo has been bought for less than the top researcher by Meta.
We all know that free market always wins. We've tried this multiple times. If I get a better offer somewhere else, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Welcome to Watch Out for AGI podcast, your go-to podcast for the latest in AI. We dive into cutting-edge models, news, and products with insights from developers and creators worldwide. AI evolves fast, and we are here to keep you informed. So whether you're coding, building, or just curious about AI, stick with us to stay ahead of the game. This is Watch Out for AGI. Let's get into it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Watch Out for AGI, my favorite podcast, my own.
The best one out there.
It's the best one. I just want to give ourselves a pat on the back. Emrick, I have an announcement. It's a pre-announcement. It's not yet achieved, but a friend told me the other day that we are nearly in the 1% of all people who have successfully launched a podcast.
So what is the criteria for successfully launching one?
The statistics go that 99% of all podcasts never make it to 21 episodes.
Is it the 21st episode that we're doing today?
I posted 18, 19 is coming. Today is 20th. This is our 20th episode.
We are so back, Remy. We are so back.
Next week, we will be in the top 1% of podcasts in the world. So I just wanted to give ourselves a pat on the back. And, you know, I would not have continued if it was terrible. I listened to all my episodes and I'm very happy with what we have achieved here. And I really see a purpose. We have some friends who log on every week to get the news, to get the sentiment. We are perfectly in the middle of a storm in AI where we can deliver news and insights and tips. And you know, we're not too nerdy, but we're not too salesmen, right? So the sales guys, they're going to say, yeah, the model's the best. This model, yeah, it's the best. It's like, what exactly does it do? I don't know. I heard it does. But then the nerd is going to be explaining to you things that's going to bore you out of your mind. So
we are doing a podcast that we would love to listen. It's a podcast for software engineers, for solopreneurs, for like side hustlers. I think we're doing a good job at like maintaining this tone exactly to deliver you value, guys.
And before we jump into anything this week, for those who did miss last week's episode, it was our second interview and it was our first YC-backed entrepreneur interview. We met with Andrea Pinto, the founder of
Note Labs, yeah. And it actually means a lot to be a YC founder because I always hear it's easy to become YC founder, but I swear, I was in San Francisco last month and the amount of people that are applying is insane. Like a lot of people are going on tourist visa in San Francisco applying and a lot of people are actually denied the entrance to YC. So it's a select club right now. It means nothing to be at YC.
The thing that I see here in the YC trends is there is usually a theme in each batch. And if you're in the theme, you have a higher chance of getting selected. For some reason, we had vocal AI last batch. Before that, we had agents. This time it's MCP. I don't know what the next one is, but everybody jumps onto a trend. And then if you're not in the trend, then forget about it. If you're not good, then forget about it. So it is becoming quite difficult to enter. And congrats to him for entering as an AI agent.
Even if I think you're right, YC likes to hire experts and having some level of expertise. And you can jump on a trend, it's okay, but you need to bring something new to the industry. And I got an example for voice. Yes, voice AI was a thing. I think it was too much before. But if you don't have like an actual expertise on like a field, something, you would not enter YC. You pretty much need to be able to cook for long and with a good expertise.
And what we saw last week with Andrea, our Swiss-Italian friend who speaks French, so he's a very smart guy, clicked, during the interview, it was not really an interview. We just discussed what the landscape is today on AI browser agents and basically the future of, I call it the future of the internet, future of consumer internet, the way we consume things, the way things are scraped, how we're going to access our data. And, we learned that he was mostly interested in building an infrastructure for the future of agents. And that's the most challenging part. And I think that we tend to overlook that, Emrick, really, because when we are trying to solve a problem, we're going straight B2C. I'm going to build an agent. I'm going to build a flow. I'm going to build something that an AI is going to automate. But what about if we're talking about scale? What about if your customers are launching your thing 100,000 times per day? How do you scale at that point a system? It's not simple. It's not an easy...
It's a combination of like finding an idea that doesn't have too much competition. And there is this concept at YC of tar pit ideas. So it's like an idea that everyone died before you on it and you not think that everyone died on it. So it's like moving sands. Everyone is already under the sand and you just don't see and you go. It's like if you want to create the new Google right now, some kind of tar pit idea, it's really hard because like a lot of people have tried. It's a combination of this, finding a place where you have expertise, not a tar pit idea. And it also like requires timing, requires so much things coming up. So that's also why the success rate of startup are so low, because it requires a lot of combination. So congrats to Andrea, because he's actually having some revenue and actually going well.
Yeah, getting post revenue, getting some clients. You're building B2B SaaS is super hard. You want to have a very streamlined team. I don't know exactly what you're supposed to get between engineering and sales. Today, I feel like engineering is overrated. If you have one magician, you could probably cook, and then you just get a third wheel, third wheel engineer who comes and helps the magician. But in terms of sales, how do you sell these products? That's for me the biggest difficulty with so much competition today. It's
and
very difficult.
Talking about talent, I think we should jump on the news, because the first news is about talent.
The first news that we wanted to bring to you today is, well, it's actually an open discussion. There's a lot going on right now between the AI talent and the AI jobs, I would say, sourcing. A lot of poaching is happening right now between Meta, OpenAI. We have some news on also Microsoft. So, Emrick, can you give us a little breakdown of what happened over the last few weeks? It's been big in the news for those who don't know what's happening.
Yeah. So for some context, so Meta, the company for Facebook, felt like they were losing the AI war. They were losing it because they were pretty in advance, because they were publishing Llama, and Llama was like the best open source model. And the strategy of actually a French guy living in New York, Yann LeCun, the godfather of AI, as a lot of people talk, he was saying that AI is a commodity, that it can be open sourced. So they were really trying to go full open source. And we talked about it on the pod, but Llama 4 was actually bad, was terribly bad. Llama 2 was good, Llama 3 was good, and Llama 4 just fell through. Like probably one of the worst model, like really non-efficient. Of course, I don't want to remove it. It's actually a lot of work from researchers, but on the open source AI, they fell through. So Meta was in a situation with no open source model that was good, and also no closed source model that was good. And in the meantime, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, they are all feasting on like this demand for like good thinking model AI. So Mark Zuckerberg, that has a lot of capital on hand, decided to use a lot of this capital. And I think, I don't have the amounts, but it's in billions that we're talking about. He decided that he were going to poach as much as he could everywhere. So first he did the acquisition for 14 billion of Scale AI, getting Alexander Wang. This guy is really good and was pretty visionary on like specifically the need for data for model. And now they decided to poach a lot of scientists. For some context, I think OpenAI pay the scientists really well. I think we're talking about like 4 or 5 million TC. Google is paying a lot. Anthropic is paying a lot for the researchers. And I think at that level, we hear about 100 million a package, 9 figures package. And I think it has been have confirmed for certain. And they were able to poach 9 scientists, so a lot from OpenAI, from Anthropic, from Google. And basically they assembled the Avengers of AI, the dream team, and they created this team called the Super Intelligence Team. It's funny because you were talking to me, Remy, that we should rename the podcast Watch Out for AGI to Watch Out for Super Intelligence. I think AGI is not the most trendy term right now, but it's really insane to see how right now the companies, like, they decide to do not care about the software engineers anymore, and now it's all about the research engineer. Aren't you too sad, Remy, that you haven't done a PhD?
No, that would have been boring. A bit of numbers here on everything you said. I'm just backing it up with a few of the names and numbers here. So we have, I'm not going to say the names because I don't know who they are, and I just don't like to name drop, but someone who worked on GPT-4, someone who was part of OpenAI's perception team, someone who managed multimodal models, a key contributor to OpenAI's O3 Mini, O1 Mini, and O1 models, a foundational contributor to OpenAI's Reasoning O1. So all of these are super key figures in OpenAI's teams. And additionally, this is the one that I don't know if you mentioned it before. This is super interesting. Well, Alexander Wang, Xscale AI CEO, and Nat Friedman, former
from GitHub, I think.
CEO, to lead the initiatives.
Yeah. I think he not only took researchers, but he took like top executives to actually build the team and like scale the team. So I mean, Mark Zuckerberg is pretty good at building teams, so it makes sense.
Other poaching activity was with Anthropic as well. They attracted talent like Nicholas Carlini from Google DeepMind.
Yeah, they poached somebody that did the reasoning for Gemini 2.5. So I think they really took, actually, if we see the pattern, I think they hired a lot of people that were behind the reasoning paradigm. And the reasoning is using reinforcement learning. So I think it's like really high talent around reinforcement learning for LLMs. So, I mean, it makes sense. They are trying to get up to speed for reinforcement learning and reasoning. So it makes sense.
Do you remember Mira Murati?
I think she sold her name to create a new company, right?
She was OpenAI's CTO. And
I know about this.
She started Thinking Machines Lab.
Yeah.
And it's offering salaries today up to $760,000 yearly to learn talent.
That's really low. For a researcher, that's really low. Are you talking about software engineer maybe?
Technical talent.
Because the researchers nowadays, they are worth a lot. They are the new NFL players, the new soccer player. Ronaldo has been bought for less than the top researcher by Meta.
That's nuts. But even that startup, which has received less funding than others, is willing to pay this amount. And it's very early in the game for them because they are not at all established. Your shares could be worth a lot more in the future if they're able to bring something out. Yeah. And actually... It's I saw in my notes the word Europe. I'd be a downer here, but I heard some very disappointing news from the French president on what's the model called again? The
Mistral?
Mistral. So things are not going very well in Europe, and they need users for Mistral. Otherwise, Mistral won't exist. So, I mean, that's my take on it. Don't take my word for 100%, but the French president has been calling CEOs of the top French companies, part of the CAC 40, the 40 largest companies in France, and forces them to use Mistral, calls them in to use Mistral's models instead of other models. And you know, it's basically getting to a point where politicians are removing the open market, the free market in AI because we're not attracting talent, I guess. Mistral is not attracting key talent. So I don't know if it's a way to kickstart the revenue for Mistral to then, recruit high talent. But if you're not paying more than 100K, your employees, there's no way you're winning this game. I don't know how much Mistral pays their employees, but I don't think there is a world where Mistral wins here. And it's because of Europe, I think. You know, when you're looking at these salaries in the US, where you can make up to $100 million, if you were to do that in France, I think that you might get taxed 99% of your money, like 99%. It is possible.
So I heard about Mistral, something that I think is really bad to hear. They are trying to do some level of protectionism. So they're trying to say, as an example, SAP. SAP is the top tech European company. I think they are worth 400 billion. And they say to SAP, do not use OpenAI, do not use Anthropic, use Mistral. And I swear, for a tech company, having to use like a worse solution just for protectionism sounds like a weird way. Like
It never
they should
wins.
focus. Yeah, I think they should focus on doing a better job than what is out there.
No, it's for me. I mean, I'm just going to put it down very simply. OpenAI brings trillions of dollars of value to the world today. Trillions. It will arrive where their market cap goes up to that level.
Mm-hmm.
If you're serving the world with a product that brings that much value, it is logical that the person who builds that gets that amount of money. And therefore, you need to pay to the level of those people to attract talent that will do that much impact. It is very simple. It is none other than basic economics here. And Europe is missing out. And it's beautiful for me to see this because everybody's scrambling and doing all these protectionism techniques. But we all know that free market always wins. We've tried this multiple times. If I get a better offer somewhere else, I'm going to go somewhere else. That's
no,
the way it
absolutely.
is.
Let's just think about all this company in the Bay. Do you think they really fucking care which provider they use? Do you think I am sure a lot of people are using DeepSeek and it's like Chinese provider. They just want to get the cheapest thing that does the work, and they wouldn't care about if it's like something that comes from California or comes from like Montana. Like they don't care. They just want the output. And I think this is all the case for all the entrepreneurs. So I think there's a little bit of cope for Mistral. It's like, our model sucks, but let's try to use the protectionism card. At least we're going to get more fun. We're going to get more fun from Europe, from France, and for sovereign fund.
It's a sinking
That's a
ship,
losing
my
strategy.
friend.
That's a losing strategy, I think.
It's a sinking ship right there. And I don't believe that will ever work in history of economics. And I think I'm right to think that way. No, but
I just want to recognize some credits. You see some small companies. So, as Midjourney is a small company and like they have a lot of revenue, I think some company that are less known. So as I give this example of QTI TTS, so they are really focused on just a TTS model. TTS model means that you're typing text and it gives you sound. And some small company, and this is a French company, I think they're really not a lot, are able to provide really good like product. This I could use in one of my pipeline. It's cheap, it's fast, it gives like a really good output. So here we have an example, I think, of a company that is a bit not underrated, but I think they can just do a good product and that's how people will use it. And there is no protectionism here. It's a good product. And I think that's what Mistral should start doing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where that goes. I was not planning on talking about Mistral today, but I guess we did cover the talent problem that is just growing and growing and growing. We'll see. Maybe they will fire the people after their 100 million bonus, and it was just all a fluke. But I don't think so. I think that we're really onto something here.
Yeah, talking about a model and Mistral. So Mistral is good at code. And talking about code, I think we're coming to our next topic. Have you tried a little bit more of Claude Code recently?
No, not as much as I want to. I would really like to use it. How about you?
No, because myself as well. I know you have this subscription to Claude, and I know you can use Claude Code for like free-ish.
No,
So
no.
You can't.
It's part of the max. I only have the pro.
I see. So you should spend more than.
It's $100 a month.
But what do I mean is, if you look at the industry right now, that's quite impressive. I've been to multiple meetups. I'm looking at a lot of content online, and I see a pattern of like people using less and less cursor and using more and more Claude, because Claude is really, so to remind people that are listening to the podcast, Claude Code is a tool that you use in a CLI and you just ask for something and it will take a file space, so let's say a folder, and start cooking in the folder. And so you don't really need any IDE like Cursor. You could do it in Visual Studio Code and it will like generate you immediately. It just brings the agentic capabilities in whatever CLI that you have. And I think it's becoming really good just because of the agentic. I think Claude knows how to optimize their own LLMs. Their LLMs are really good at coding. They are good at planning. And I think Claude Code is really good at planning. And so we are seeing right now a lot of people starting to use it. And it comes from the thing I wanted to talk. Google is trying to like also launch their own like Claude Code. And it's actually impressive how they popped off on GitHub. I wanted to share my screen about this. But if you look at the amount of stars right now on GitHub, they're already at 50K stars for a product that is like 1 week old, maybe. That's quite an amazing growth for a product that just released. I think they are growing because they are subsidizing like crazy. If you look at this will grant you up to 60 model requests per minute and 1,000 model requests per day. What do you think about it? Would you use it?
I think so. I think at this point, anything that is subsidized gets my eye. That's one thing that they know, and people do change their behavior based on how expensive a model is, because it is super expensive to run Claude Code. There's actually the price is at the end of your session. When you're done, it says cost. And that can go for hundreds per month. So if you're model agnostic and you just want to get your product out there, you're going to go for one of these. Now, that doesn't mean we're stupid. I mean, once it's not subsidized, what do? Are we stuck with this? Like, is the price going to go to the roof? I don't know.
Because if you are a customer, like let's say a customer from an enterprise customer, let's say you are Apple. I'm taking this example completely randomly. You can negotiate the price to token. So you don't really care, just want to use the best. But in the case of experimenting, prototyping, you don't really want to spend $100 for every prototype that you're creating. So I think Gemini here, by subsidizing, is like probably getting a lot of market share really fast. So I hope this will work out for them.
No, I think that this is my opinion here. I think that Claude Code will eventually eat Cursor. I think that they're on Cursor's tail. Cursor had a nice run. I think as users get more and more used to vibing completely and losing the need to change files manually, I don't even do any tabs. I don't even tab. I would like to show, I don't know if I can show my Cursor stats here.
But yeah, because I heard that you're one of the top Cursor user, right?
Yes, I am. I was top 1% actually in Paris.
Damn.
I mean, this week has been quite a calm week, but we've had nearly 2K in the last month. And then if I go back to, it's very weird. This actually, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't work. I think that the reason why I'm choosing 28 here is because forget about it, guys. Forget about it. No, but I don't have any tab usage. I don't have tab usage at all. I have lines edited by agents. I don't have any tabs.
Actually, about that, tab is auto-completion, right?
Yeah, so the tab is when you press when you press tab on your cursor to autocomplete a line. It's manual work. I don't do manual shit anymore, guys. It's all agent based.
Are you doing context engineering, Remy?
I'm doing heavy context engineering. So that's one thing that we did want to cover today, is that context engineering is, I guess, the name that is being used for building prompts that get you far, that agents can take, digest, and one shot for you. It's building systems to allow you to generate high quality code. And so, for example, when you tag a file that has a style guide and you say use that is context engineering. You build a style guide that you use every time that you want to build a view, and you tag it. Instead of being stupid and writing the same prompt every time, you tag it. You tag the file. You tag this. You build these massive prompts, and you code more and more efficiently. Is this a practice that you do yourself, Emrick?
So I'm trying, but I don't have a good template. Me, the thing that I would use is mostly a progress.md and a plan.md. So I'm just writing a plan, a PRD, and then I want the LLM to be able to track its own progress. The thing is, it's working better than pure like basic prompting, but I basically, we're talking about context engineering today because it has been, I would say, popularized by somebody else. And then Andrew Karpathy retweeted. And Andrew Karpathy, I think, doesn't want to invent again another like as popular term as vibe coding. But he basically agreed that context engineering should be something that we focus more on. And I see more and more people creating content about it. And I wanted to do a small focus on this repository by Collam00. He's a big YouTuber. And he shows some example of like every time you would start a project. Here he gives the example with a project with Cloud Code. You would not start with 0. You would start with MD files. So it's the same as I told you. I have my progress and I have my plan. But I think he's going even further. He really wants to give exact details on what the agent should do. Not just like a vague way of what the agent needs to do, but like a clear details. And he gives an example here in something that he calls product requirement prompts. And you can see that here he uses purpose, core principle, goal, success criteria, even like the files that the LLM needs to create, the gotchas. Like he really goes deep into giving a context to the LLM that the context always have to actually generate the code. And you see that you see like methodology that becomes popular, like context engineering, that allows for way better results. And this is really something that I want to like drill and get more time into it. And it's funny because Remy, I know that in our podcast, in our previous podcast, we were already talking about this. Like, how do you do context engineering?
I didn't even know it was context engineering when I was doing it. It was just making things not a pain to rewrite. I was just writing the same things over and over in the prompt. So you have your rules, and then you have documentation, you have tasks. So you're just directing a bunch of engineers at this point. And, I was trying to onboard someone onto my project the other day, and I said, "Do you use Cursor?" They said, "No." "What do you use?" "Oh, I use a Copilot." And then I'm just like thinking to myself, okay, so wait. I have rules in my Cursor that whenever you change a model, changes the documentation of it changes the documentation of models in general. There's a models.md file that has all the models in there. So if you make a change, if this guy uses Copilot and changes a model, I won't be able to use Cursor anymore because my documentation doesn't talk about his change. So it's getting to a point where the systems that I have are not compatible with non-agentic coding. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you have to bring someone onto your project and they're not with the same rules as you, how do you collaborate with them? You have to force them to be you, I guess. You have to force them to use the same rules as you.
In every company that is like a bit technical, there's always something called the style guide. Yeah, I know that you create style guide for your agentic workflow, but I can tell you that in every big company, Amazon, Apple, Google, and everything, like they use style guide. They use some level of understanding of what is good code for this language. So it does make sense. It does make sense to me that you have a style guide when you are onboarding someone.
Yeah, it's one thing that I didn't think about because I work a lot by myself. It's hard to work while using these techniques if they're not using the same techniques as you. That's something that I didn't realize myself.
I guess that makes like hiring easier though, because like if you want to hire vibe coders, they will just reuse your setup.
Do you think so?
I'm not sure.
Because I'm going to tell you that I like the way the agent flows with me. Will I like the way the agent will flow with someone else's rules?
It's like something. It's like everything. When you're in a company and you're working on a new project, nowadays you have the chance of having really good LLMs to explain to you. I'm using a lot the LLMs to give a repo and trying to explain what it does. I use the LLM to understand concept. I use LLM to read docs too. But I think it's okay. I think it's fine if you have your own rules and you ask the person to actually use an LLM to explain the rules because they are probably super huge rules. And I guess it will be easier to onboard, in my opinion.
I never onboarded, so I don't know. That's an interesting one. Let's see. If you onboard someone, tell me. Tell me how it goes. No, so just moving on, Emrick, there's one topic that you wanted to speak about Langflow? I'm not a big,
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Last month, I was in San Francisco. San Francisco right now is in a bubble. The bubble is called agent bubble. Everyone fucking talks about agent. And in the beginning of every talk, it's, do you know what is an agent? And everyone pretend. So everyone like raise their hand. Yeah, I know. And it's funny because honestly, do you know what is an agent? Like, do you have a good definition of it?
This is what I was saying last week in our pod. I was saying that someone asked me, hey, I want an agent too. Is Madness an agent? Sort of. I mean, I guess. So I guess it is.
I think we're talking about concepts that are so recent and that are so new that I think nobody has an idea. But it's so funny to see in the meetups all the like students. Yeah, I know everything. And in the crowd of all the products that exist about agents, I discovered one that I think is really interesting. So it's called Langflow, and I will do a small demo of it. I think it's really interesting.
My quick question, if I can try to answer that question on what is an agent, I asked Claude to build me an agent in just a practice, thing. And Claude said, yeah, it's simple. This is a concept that's very simple. It's read, understand, act, loop. Read, understand, act. Read, understand, act. You're looping in that behavior. So there's 3 tasks that are on loop, and that's basically what an agent is with a motor, which is an LLM, basically.
Yeah, so you know what? It's what you said to me is an answer. But is it the real answer?
I don't know.
So basically, you have a lot right now of scientists working on it. It's an optimization problem. Like you have a lot of different criteria that you need to optimize. And what is a good agent? What is an agent is not solved. This is an unsolved problem. I wanted to talk about Langflow because I think it's a good idea and it fits in a market that is interesting. So right now it's hard to even reason about what is an agent. And what I really loved with Langflow is that they use this canvas, this like 2D canvas, where you can move components. When you add a component, it will generate Python code that you can reuse, but at least you can reason about what is happening here. So you have this agent, and at any moment I have a playground, and in this playground I can say hi to my agent. And this is immediately connected to my agent. And my agent, you see, has access to tools. Here I have an example of the agent having access to a calculator. Here, access to reading websites. What I can do is I can ask a question to the agent, 2 + 2. So this is not something that the LLM, let's say something more complicated than this, 4. So this is not something that will be in the training of LLM. But because my agent now has access to a tool, and it's easy for me to reason about because I can connect it like this with a link, and I can disconnect it. And I can also find other tools like connection to Google with Google Cloud, Google Calendar. Here I have API for YouTube. So it's super easy for me to add a new tool and then connect it to my LLM, knowing which tools actually my LLM has. I can also optimize what are the instructions for each LLMs. And at the end, I can give it a try. Here you can see it used evaluate expression and actually used the Python code to do the calculation, and now is able to give me back the answer. So I know you also want to build agent, Remy, and so that's why I would really recommend Langflow for development purposes. I think it's really good to actually reason about the different elements of what compose an agent.
I need to try Langflow. When did you learn about Langflow? Who's behind this, and what's the cost? And for someone who wants to start, who is this product for, basically?
This teams that creates a framework that is free, but then creates a cloud solution. It's exactly like Andrea that we met on the pod. It's the same. It's basically they are trying to go from events to sell the products to developers. And they want the developers to use it long term and by using the cloud solution. And maybe they have also an enterprise plan or anything. It's free to access, free to use, but I'm sure you can go faster by paying. So I think they are doing B2B, but they are doing their marketing by doing B2C marketing. They do B2C marketing to sell to B2B, I think.
Okay. That makes sense. I guess that if it is useful to you, then you will pay for the services and get a better experience. I love that. I love that.
The same way you use Cursor. Cursor was useful to you, you're paying for it. I also want to add something. I think a job that is coming back, a job that is so back is, this job, the evangelist, like tech evangelist. Do you remember that job?
The Amazon guys?
Yes, I think it's coming back like crazy. So in Langflow, they have, I think, 4 people full-time. The only thing they do is going to events, creating YouTube videos, and presenting their tool like everywhere. And I think this job will come back strong.
All you have to be is a loudmouth, and you have to know how to say the keywords.
Yeah, it's salespeople for dev.
Wow, I could be good at that. We sell a lot of stuff here, huh?
There is a super small news, but for all my local LLM fans out there, I don't know if there is a lot, but there is me. Google has released something called Gemma 3N. It doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's a variation of Gemma that is multimodal. So you can generate images, you can understand images, you can generate text. And the cool thing is it's really easy to run everywhere. And I gave you this example of this prototype that I've done of from a Google Chrome plugin, it will automatically run Gemma 3N to analyze text in front of you on the page. So I think there is untapped potential for super low latency, super low power usage LLMs that can run on phone, that can run on MacBooks. So I think Gemma 3N is slowly but surely enabling a new industry and a new type of software to create. I don't know. Do you use this kind of LLM yet? Not yet, maybe.
No, I mean, what's the size of this? Do you know?
I know just the model weight. I think it's the amount of parameters, and it's a 4B model. It's a 4B model with 2B active parameters. So it's quite small.
I mean, I did try a few 1Bs, a few 3Bs, and B, 8B from Meta. I don't know if I mean, the use cases for me is you get into an airplane, you have nothing else to do, and you want to learn Italian. You can just speak to this model and learn Italian.
Yep. I agree. It's a limited use case because most of the time you just want the best model. And if you have access to internet, you would just leave the GPU of OpenAI generate the answer for you. I just think that there is some on-edge IoT type of use case that I think will emerge soon.
I think there's a lot of optimization that can be done. For the guys that are working on things like Excel, for the people that are working on local files, optimizing, fixing little issues, there's so many things on device that don't work correctly because the machine doesn't understand what you're trying to do. It could be fixed with a 1B model, a 2B model. I think that could arise. I don't know, renaming a file, stuff like this. You could have more context taken into account when saving a file, for example. Look, that's actually a really cool one. You create a document, and when you save, it says untitled. You can paste in the beginning of the file and create a title from the machine that wouldn't cost that much. Is that
absolutely.
a use case that we're talking about?
It is absolutely a use case. Another use case that I want to talk because I was looking into it recently is function calling. If you have a router, small model that is router and that wants to call, I think small models, if you fine tune it to just function calling, you can get intelligence of choosing which tool to use. And I think Cursor is using it actually for really cheap. And I wanted to show this Berkeley function calling leaderboard because I had something funny. Have you heard about XLM?
No, I've never heard of that.
No, you didn't. And that's normal because nobody cares. It's a Salesforce model and they are on top of this leaderboard. It's just funny to see this big company that are trying because they don't have, I think, the means to be able to create real foundational model, frontier model. So they are focusing on this super specific use case. And now you know that Salesforce is on top of the leaderboard for function calling. Just so you know.
What is this? I mean, if you talk to it, is it handicaps
So
model?
It will be pretty stupid. Yeah, it will be pretty stupid. But for the specific use case of giving him a list of tools and knowing which tool to use, this model will be the best.
So you would need to call another model to say, hey, speak to this.
Yes.
This doer. Speak to this guy. He's an absolute idiot, but he knows what to do. I mean, I don't want to. Let's say that you have a what's the language that I don't know? The guy doesn't know what I'm talking about. I just point at the plumbing system, the problem, fix that. He goes and he knows how to do it. He fixes my problem.
Yeah. So Claude,
language agnostic.
Claude wrote an interesting article about the different architecture. to create agents. And the architecture of having stupid agent exists. And now I'm showing again Langflow because it's my new favorite tool, but it's perfect here to explain. You could potentially have this first agent here that is like more the thinking agent. And you would have like a more stupid agent. The more stupid agent would have access to the tools. And the first agent would use an OpenAI model. And the second agent will use the Salesforce model. And the Salesforce model would be better at knowing which tool to use and then would come back, I don't know, on an OpenAI, etc. So you can optimize the compute efficiency and also like the performance by creating complicated workflow. It's totally possible.
What's going on is very interesting. I can tell you that for sure. It's really, really mind-boggling to go backwards and say, we don't need the biggest model. We have a need for idiotic small models. Continue to make them.
Yeah. No, but it's also, okay. Let's say the best model to use tools right now is O3. Like O3 is a beast. He knows how to use model. But O3 latency is 10 seconds. So before asking him something, he will think for 10 seconds. Let's say you need to do 10 tool calls that are parallel. But will you wait 30 seconds? Like parallel 30? I think it's better here to use the Salesforce models. The Salesforce model will be super fast, and that's what you want.
That's cool to know. I think that's cool to know. I don't know for who this will be useful apart from where you just said like on-device decision making. Probably the guys who are cooking, making something out there will recognize themselves. They will say, oh, wow, that model is a game changer. We need that in our product. I don't see myself, the utility myself, in anything that I do.
So to answer your question, I will come back on the leaderboard, the LM Arena leaderboard. And there is multiple ways on the leaderboard, like multiple categories. And there is this search categories. So the first model that is better in search is Gemini. But if you look at here, you have the Perplexity model. And here, Perplexity is just a fork of Llama. Basically, you wanted to know which use case it is. This is the kind of use case. Perplexity allows for low latency search by taking a small model and making it better for this specific use case. So that is a perfect example of a use case for a small model, like in a product that exists for everyone to use.
Yeah, and those leaderboards, they tell the trends before they arrive. That's because that's what people are actually looking for. They want to know these, okay, is it good at this? Is it good at this speciality?
Mm-hmm.
We should base our news based on that. That should arrive, and then we should just look at the news after, based on what's on the leaderboard.
I've read so I think the leaderboards right now are falling out of favors because there was that presentation by Mr. Cholet in the it was I think 2 weeks ago about what is intelligence. It was the guy that invented Keras at Google, and he recently created a Frontier Lab new Frontier Lab, so he's backed and everything. And he was questioning on what is intelligence. And nowadays the LLMs are so good that we are keeping some like problem of like we don't even know what they cannot do, so we need to redefine what is intelligence to actually go forward. So right now the leaderboard based on vibe are probably not the best indicator of like if the LLMs are intelligent or not. And it's like there's a lot of research of like what is intelligence of LLM right now. There's like, you know, different type of intelligence. The intelligence of like being able to reason with new problem, the intelligence of being able to remember something. Like there's a lot of different level of intelligence.
Large context as well, for example.
Yep.
Well, that was our last piece of news. It was not a big week in terms of products, mostly in terms of politics, I would say, because the poaching has been happening. I don't know how you can work when your best engineer gets poached, but we did get some news that 4.5 is coming. I think GPT-5 is coming this summer. I think I saw that coming around, so I can't wait until we get some news from that end. I don't know what to expect from that, but it's been hovering around everybody's mind. When did 4 come out?
2023, I think. So 2 years ago.
So we really need a refresh in names. That's all we need.
Yeah, I think if he renames GPT-5, even if it's the same, it will be way better.
I know, right? Actually, one funny thing, when you're doing a bit of LLM work, models don't keep up with the naming of LLMs. So maybe 5 will come out, and you guys got to be careful because in your flows, it can look at so Claude can look at your file and say, wait, GPT-5 doesn't exist. I'll change that and put 4.5. It did that to me. It was changing all my 4.1s into 4.0s. No, that's not a real model. It's not it doesn't have the latest intelligence. So when that happens, you guys got to be careful.
Context engineering, you should have given the doc in the context.
Yeah. And started to threaten the LLM to do it. Otherwise, you will kill all of its family. Very, very small news is that Cursor is organizing events now. They're an event planner. There are Cursor meetups all over the globe. And for those lucky people who have been vibing instead of drinking cocktails like me, we got invited to the one that I guess we're based in. So I was invited to come to Paris and meet up with the people. I think it's on invite, but I'm going to bring a +1 because, I bring cool people. Emrick, is this one in New York? Are you going to try to make it there?
Yeah, there are some. But as you told me, you got an invite to go there. So me, I want to go there. I don't think, I haven't looked at my calendar, but maybe I accepted the request. But I will see what it is. But it seems like they're trying to do community building. We are going to join the community. And so we are going to sell the product for them. It's a little bit of a SAP move, or they're trying to make us seller of the product. If at least they give us, I don't know, Cursor Max for free, I can sell.
Cursor Max for free? What is that? Is there actually a tier called Cursor Max?
Cursor Ultimate, Cursor VIP.
Yeah, they would subsidize, right? That's all we're interested in. We don't care about the rest. Anyway, so that wraps up the episode, guys. I hope everybody's informed with the latest and greatest. Very soon, hopefully, we're on track to get another YC-backed entrepreneur. I know you guys will like last week's episode, so do check that out if you have not. And yeah, we'll be back next week with a new pod. He's vibing this summer. Do take a break, but do also cook. That's what life is all about. Anyway, thanks everybody. Take it easy. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.